Hey, what's up? I'm Yvonne Estelle and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give the top 5 significant others who had it the worst due to their partners being horrible, terrible monsters. Of course, this is based off of my opinion, which is based off of fact. So let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have Amber Frey. Now, Amber Frey, if you are not familiar, was the side chick to the famous Scott Peterson, who was convicted of murdering his wife, Laci Peterson, and their unborn child. Laci was 8 months pregnant at the time. First of all, I know I should say Laci Peterson, obviously, she is the victim. However, I do need to note that Amber was just kind of like an unbeknownst victim who wasn't even looking for this. She had no idea about Scott's other life. I mean, he literally called her during the vigil of his wife and was like, hey, yeah, I'm at Paris, France, the Eiffel Tower is great, and she was eating that shit up. Amber, I'm sure, fantasized about how great their life could be and really liked him. I mean, after this, the news hit and the story made it out and the trial started, Amber was completely and utterly harassed by the paparazzi and media. She pretty much had a whole bunch of narratives made up about her. I mean, it's not only unfair that she's a side chick, but just to me, if you're going to kill people, at least let me know ahead of time, give me a heads up. Especially if you're doing it on my behalf. I mean, I'm over here wondering, what are we? What's next for us? What's our future looking like? And you are on a murder spree to keep secrets from me. Are you fucking joking? Amber deserved much better than Scott Peterson and the entire media paparazzi frenzy that followed. Second, we have Tony Lazzara. Now, Tony Lazzara was the girlfriend to, at one point, America's most hated woman, Casey Anthony. Tony Lazzara and Casey were actually only dating for 3 months. 3 months. That's not that much time. I feel like in the moment it feels like a lot of time, but in the grand scheme of things, it isn't. The first month, Casey would bring little Kaylee around. If you aren't familiar, Casey was charged but not convicted with the murder of Kaylee Anthony, her daughter, who was a child, 3 years old. Anyway, Casey would bring around Kaylee and just kind of it was cute the first month, and then after a while just stop bringing her completely. And if anyone asked, she'd say, oh, she's with the babysitter, oh, she's with my parents, that kind of thing. And I guess the boys were 22, the roommates, and Tony 22, 23, so they didn't think much of it. Now, here's where it gets weird. Tony Lazzara was a famous DJ and promoter, so he would go to clubs and that kind of thing. He would, of course, bring his girlfriend at the time because she was beautiful and skinny and just the perfect club girl to have. So they would be at the clubs doing their DJing, doing their promoting. First of all, could you imagine the people that were also there, just partying with this girl? She seems super cool and fun. You're taking shots. And then in a few months, you see on the internet photos of you and Casey Anthony, a baby killer. I'm sure for Tony, not only did this affect his career, I'm sure he got a little bit of popularity from it at first, but then also okay, what kind of judgy character are you, buddy? You literally had Casey Anthony in your section. Next. I'm sure he was also very skeptical and had a lot of trust issues after that when it came to dating women. Tony just kind of deserved better. He ended up having to go on the stand and I don't know if it was a character witness or what exactly his point of purpose was, but I just couldn't imagine getting a phone call today hey, can you come on the stand and talk about the time you dated this guy for 2 months 2 years ago? Fucking absolutely not. The worst. Coming at number 3, Camille Cosby. Now, Camille Cosby is Bill Cosby's wife. If you are not familiar, you're a liar or you live under a rock, because Bill Cosby is known as one of America's truest, fondest, most favorite father figures who turned out to be a serial rapist. People feel like Camille Cosby kind of either knew about it or she was I don't know, a little bit too unbeknownst, a little bit too out of her head about the whole thing. But in my opinion, Camille Cosby got the shortest end of the stick. I mean, first of all, your marriage to a man for years ends up kind of being a sham, because at worst case scenario, not only was he cheating on you, but 90% of those cheating incidences were rape. Fuck. On top of that, I mean, you're supposed to grow old with your partner. She's old as shit, and her husband is in jail right now, and he's in a room the size of my bathroom that I'm currently sitting in and filming in. So I guess I too got the shorter end of the stick because his bathroom is really small. I kind of feel like it just wasn't really fair to Camille. She is a millionaire, but at the same time her reputation is ruined. I mean, who's gonna invite Camille Cosby to like their book club, you know? Eek. And her husband is sick and dying and in jail, but he also was a serial rapist and everyone hates him. Like, that's just a horrible situation to be in. The next, for number 2 significant other, or others I should say, are Eve Weinstein and Georgina Chapman. They were both married to Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein is a grotesque monster inside and out, and he also was known and has been recently convicted for raping and sexually assaulting women all over the Hollywood industry. Now, he and Bill Cosby are pretty much tied for like terrible people, but I want to say Eve was married to Harvey Weinstein from like 84 to 2004. And I mean, I guess during that time he was still raping everybody, except you just didn't know. I feel like she was married to him for a longer time, so she had to be subjected to abuse for a longer time. Georgina Chapman was married for only 10 years. That's still a very long time, 2007 to 2017. And towards the end of their marriage is when shit hit the fan and everyone started finding out, or it started getting public, how horrible Harry was. I just feel like both these women were in abusive relationships. They both had to have sex with Harvey Weinstein. I mean, look at that face. And on top of that, they just kind of had their reputations kind of smashed to smithereen as being like people that were just like either victims or like just involved and have their name attached to a horrible person. I mean, literally, Eve Weinstein. Coming in at number 1, drumroll please, Shayanna Hernandez. Now, she is the fiance of Aaron Hernandez. And if you aren't familiar with who Aaron Hernandez is, either you live under the rock because you don't watch sports or you don't watch true crime. And I mean, baby, that ain't no way to live. Aaron Hernandez was a famous NFL player. He played for the Patriots and he actually helped them win a Super Bowl one year. Don't ask for the year. I only watched Super Bowl for the show and for the wings. Anyway, he ended up murdering 3 people, but only got convicted for 1 murder. The first was a drive-by. He murdered 2 people that he'd run into at a club. And the second was actually his fiance's sister's boyfriend. They were friendly. He played in a smaller league than Aaron, and he ended up murdering him. He also shot and tried to kill someone else, and it's kind of like this like gangbanger associate, but I guess all that really amounted to, it amounted to something horrible. His eye, he had his wear like a glass eye for the rest of his life. Anyway, the point is, he's a freaking serial killer. He's violent. There's a lot of things that weren't right about this situation. First of all, Shayanna did not deserve that. I mean, you are with some guy from high school holding it down, and now you're a football wife, which is what many people aspire to be, a football or basketball wife. Except you get the craziest twist and turn. He's a serial killer as well. I mean, there are a few things that just kind of threw me off. First of all, if you didn't watch the documentary, you absolutely should. But the biggest point is that Aaron Hernandez's homosexuality was definitely highlighted. I feel like that wasn't fair. I feel like it took away from the victims and the story of the case, and there's no connotation, in my opinion, which is once again fact. His homosexuality and him being a serial killer are so different. Honestly, he grew up in an abusive household. He had a God complex about him. Him being a closeted bisexual man or homosexual man, or however you want to put it, to me are 2 separate demons. One is having to keep a secret that you shouldn't have to keep, and the other one is just being an evil person, taking the lives of innocent people. I just kind of feel like Shayanna Hernandez was put in a bad position. She had to choose between 2 versions of her family, her immediate, which is her daughter and her daughter's father, and then her sister, because one of the victims, like I said, was her sister's fiance or boyfriend, partner in general. It was really sad. I'm sure that relationship was really strained, and I really don't know what I would do if I was in her position. On top of that, Aaron Hernandez eventually committed suicide. His note was a little confusing, but I just kind of feel like it kind of leaves her alone in this world to raise this daughter and have her, you know, her daughter's father have this very peculiar, very tough reputation. I just feel like she deserves so much better, and she should be looked at more as just someone that you should be empathetic to and understanding to, and kind of give her her flowers where it's due, which was strength to go through all of this. She also took the stand at one point. Like, are you kidding me? I'm a little biased because I'm obsessed with her and I really like that case. I really like researching it. Anyway, that's my top 5. If you are interested, I very highly suggest you go through these cases and give them a go, give them a little look. On top of that, I will probably be covering them because they're like really interesting and really insane. As always, click the link. Wait, what am I saying? Like, comment, or subscribe. And of course, I will have another video coming up soon. I'm rambling now. I've done this video 3 times in a row. I'm hungry. I've got to go.